Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess B, a brown expat woman of faith living in Pakistan. Today, I thought I would come to you and share a few things that I've noticed, observed, learned about living in Pakistan. And, I thought knowledge is wealth. And so, why not share this wealth and this information with you? So, come on in, have a seat, grab your drink. I'm personally having some tea because your girl's throat is just a little scratchy, but nonetheless, grab a drink and get comfortable. Now, before we start, let me just go ahead and put out this disclaimer. Everything that I say and share today is really just through the perspective of my lens and my life and my filter. I think a lot of times we take for granted that we interpret things or understand things differently according to our life experiences. So everything that I'm sharing today is how I've interpreted or felt about things, seen, observed, learned things through my own life experience. So, by the way, if you see me looking down, it's because I had to take some notes. There were some juicy tidbits and just really important things that I wanted to make sure I did not forget. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm checking my notes. So, number one, the transportation here. Listen, I can't complain because I have my own transportation. My company was gracious enough to provide transportation for anytime I need to leave the house, whether it's for groceries or for dinner. I have transportation. And there are some transportation apps. Yango is one of them, InDrive is another, but the transportation in general, the transportation standards here are just mind-boggling. Now, let me explain what I mean. Mind-boggling in the sense of there's no standards for transportation here, where 3 lanes of traffic are supposed to flow in one direction because everyone is in a hurry and it's me now, strong cutoff culture for sure. 3 lanes become 7, and the things that are on the road can be literally a man with his donkey or 2 donkeys trying to get his wagon down the road. Sometimes people are pushing their wagon or whatever because they're going to go set up and sell fruits or something like that. Of course, there are cars. Typically, most of the cars here are small because you have to bob and weave. Like you're squeezing in teeny tiny parking spaces, and it's just ridiculous. A lot of people here have drivers, especially for the bigger vehicles, but y'all, I'm telling you, it's chaotic, it's crazy, it's not safe. I thank God that I don't have to drive here because really, it's crazy. What's the video game, the Mario game, or is it Tetris, where it's like people cross the street like that and they're like, telling you just wait a minute, hold on, while they want to cross and got to look out for 7 other cars. Oh, it's pure madness. And outside of that, there are no standards for the vehicles, meaning if someone has lost their brake light, like someone's hit their brake light, or it just went out, whatever the case may be, they don't care. No, I've seen not just cars, but also police vehicles and public buses without brake lights. And I'm thinking, what? It's just crazy. Here you'll also see a lot. I mean, probably at least 50% of the road is motorcycles. And these motorcycles don't have what are those mirrors called? The ones that help check your blind spot. There are no mirrors. It's not a law or standard for motorcycles to have mirrors on them. They also don't wear helmets. And they also sometimes ride 2, 3, 4, 5 people on one motorcycle. Sometimes literally I'll look out the window and I'll see a whole family on a motorcycle, and like the baby is asleep, in the front as the dad steers, and there are 2 kids squished in between the mom and the dad, and woman ride side saddle here. And so the lady's all the way in the back, halfway holding another baby, riding to the side instead of straddled. Like it's so crazy. I thank God that my drivers know what to do, they're experienced in this situation, because there are plenty of days when people have like cut off our vehicle or have brakes, but we didn't know because there are no brake lights. I would have caused an accident for sure. So the transportation here, it's no joke, and dare I say, a nightmare. Dose. The weather. I have observed in this city that the weather is consistently warm. Literally 9 or 10 months out of the year, it is warm, if not hot. Karachi is located just across the Gulf from like Muscat, Oman, or Dubai, UAE, and Saudi, right? These are Middle Eastern countries, and the weather is not tropical, it is hot, absolutely hot. So the coldest month is typically January.
Go January, Aquarius in the house for sure.
But even the cold month of January, I find that at the most you need is a light cardigan, maybe a light sweater. Granted, for locals here, what I've observed or what I've noticed is that this feels extremely cold to them. I've seen locals during the cold months have on full-blown winter coats, like buffer coats, because they're freezing. They're so used to having hot weather year-round. But to me, the weather during the coldest 2.5 month period of the year, in the morning time, let me be specific, in the morning time and maybe after sundown, all you need is like a light cardigan. Maybe on those days I'll wear long sleeves instead of, sleeveless or short sleeves, and that's it. But when the sun is up, it's actually really nice weather. Feels like spring or early autumn in the States. I love that time of year. But the rest of the year, just kidding. Number 3. Now, I feel like number 3 ties in directly to number 2 because it is always such warm weather. Flies are a real thing here. Oh my gosh, the amount of flies in this city are just... Y'all, I can't stand bugs. I don't like bugs. I don't care if it's ants, bees, spiders, roaches, flies, mosquitoes, you name it, I don't like bugs. So the amount of flies and mosquitoes in this country, and unfortunately mosquitoes carry dengue, it's just ridiculous. A lot of restaurants and places are outside, or they'll have their windows and stuff open because ultimately it's warm weather, it's nice weather during the winter months, and so mosquitoes and flies, they just kind of wander right on in. If you leave your windows open, if you have your door open, even sometimes just getting in and out of the truck, like a fly will get in, and it drives me bonkers. I remember I had gone to an event at the peak of fly season. It was August, and we had like a sports something, and afterwards we had like a barbecue outside, and the amount of flies, not only like around the food, which made me not want to eat, I don't think I did eat, and like just around the people, I remember not really being able to stay and enjoy myself because I was constantly like swatting and swinging because the flies were just atrocious. So I've noticed and observed in Karachi there is astronomical amounts of flies, and for sure I think they should do like a unified effort to decrease the amount of flies in the city, because I mean they seem unbothered by it, but not today, Satan. Number 4. Sorry, straight feeling goofy. Okay, number 4, let me talk to you all about delivery. The number 1 food delivery, grocery store delivery, pharmaceutical delivery in Karachi is Food Panda. Food Panda really reminds me of Uber Eats, or another popular one is Bolt, because in countries that maybe don't have Uber, they use Bolt, or I can't remember. But either way, Food Panda doesn't do any like driving taxi service like Uber, but it is the top delivery app for groceries, pharmaceutical, and dinner, like takeout here in Karachi. Now, one thing that I love about Food Panda and what I've observed is that it's really, really inexpensive. I'm talking 50 rupees, maybe 100 rupees for the typical delivery fee. we're talking about the equivalent of 40 cents, okay? And yeah, when it's more than that, I think the max I've ever paid on Food Panda for delivery is like 200 to 250 rupees max, and that's very, very seldomly, which is still less than $1. Yeah! So it's really inexpensive, and from what I've observed, this is actually really common. Now, I've also observed that tipping is standard for deliveries with the app, and it gives me the option for different amounts, and from what I've observed, the tipping amount is very low as well. I normally will leave 100 rupees, or let's say my food total came out to 950 or 960 PKR. For me, I will let them keep, I will always, pay with at least 1,000 rupees, or in that instance, it would be with 1,000 rupee note, and I'll put an extra like 100 with it. And so I'm tipping like 140 PKR, which is still equivalent to like 50 cents, maybe 55 cents. So yeah, if that doesn't, enlighten you about the cost of living and things here, or the value of the PKR compared to like euros or dollars, I don't know how to break it down to you any other way. But I do remember this one time I had ordered from this super fabulous cake shop that I love. They're not close by, but like they do deliver, and I decided to use their delivery service instead of going to go get it or sending the driver, begging the driver to go get it. And yeah, I remember when they told me the delivery fee, it was like 1,500 PKR. I was like, 1,500 PKR. It was either 1,000 or 1,500 PKR. I can't remember. Either way, I was like, 1,500 rupees. What? Now, I'm tripping, because the reality is 1,500 rupees is equivalent to like $5.25. Americans, y'all know, if you order Uber Eats or any type of food delivery, you're paying $15 normally at the very least for the delivery. And if you want to tip, that's even more. So you're paying $20, $30, $40. Oh my gosh, I can't even think about if you lived in New York City. I have no idea how much Uber Eats is in New York City compared to like DC, Virginia, where I'm from, but I'm confident that the delivery fee is more than $5. So yeah, I just observed how inexpensive it is to get delivery here, from the cost of food to the delivery fee and the tipping. Packages here are delivered by a company called Daraz. Let me see if I can put up their logo right here. So Daraz is kind of like the Pakistani version of Amazon meets, what was that called when I lived in China? Taobao or Alibaba? Yeah, it's kind of like the Pakistani version of that, but in the same way that sometimes when I would get stuff off of Taobao living in Shanghai, it was like, no. Like, sometimes things can be like that, right? And ultimately, I have found that getting things off of Daraz, 9 times out of 10, it's just not worth it, because the quality, whether something is expensive or not, a lot of times I just feel really disappointed with the quality. And so I don't really get things off of Daraz. However, what I love about ordering online here in general is everything can be cash on delivery. For me, that's a big one. As a foreigner, I'm not allowed to have a local bank account. I don't know any foreigners that have a local Pakistani bank account. Because for deliveries, or if I want to order candles online, or if I order any local clothing to take to my tailor, I can pay for it when they bring it to me. And again, the delivery fee is normally less than 200 rupees. Like, it's just not expensive whatsoever. But let me just say that within ordering some things online, if it is over a certain amount, some companies do want you to pay in advance. And that's where maybe they'll call me, or I have to call them and say, hey, I'm a foreigner. Unfortunately, I don't have a local account. Is there any way that you can take cash on delivery, or can you hand deliver it and I'll, pay you in person, whatever the case may be. And a lot of times, most businesses are really willing to work with me. Thank God, because otherwise I have no way to make a local bank transfer. A lot of these companies that possibly want payment in advance, it's not like going and entering your card number and then paying. It's a lot of times done by a local bank transfer. And when you don't have a local bank, how can you transfer money to another local bank? So that's kind of the crux of number 4. Let's go on to number 5. Now, when I think about packages that I get from overseas, that is a tumultuous, vexing process. For example, I like to order, not Amazon, but iHerb. Sometimes I really struggle to get the vitamins and stuff that I need here, or even more so like the skincare products that I need. They're not here. Sure, I can get lotion and I can get shampoo, but it's not always the type that's meant for my hair type or my skin type. So iHerb, I think, is equivalent to Amazon's vitamin shop, kind of, natural soaps and stuff like that online. And thankfully, iHerb does deliver to Pakistan. But with all imported goods for Pakistan, you pay literally double the price. The last time I got something, I remember I was so heated. I ordered something worth like soaps and lotions and stuff like that for my skin. I ordered a fair amount so that way it could last me, 6 or 7 months. And I think the value of the package was around 80 to 90 US dollars. Shipping from iHerb to Pakistan was equivalent to about $40. And I thought that was that. No. The duty fee or like import fee was literally more than the price that I paid for the items. I remember like giving the cash to the DHL driver for the delivery, not delivery fee, but like the duty fee. And I did the math later and I was like, I just paid $100 for this duty fee on getting not electronics or something crazy, just skincare products. Like the duty fees, from what I've observed, are just highway robbery. And it's like that for all imported goods and things in Pakistan. For example, technology. I have a iPhone Pro Max something. And ultimately, when I put my Pakistani SIM in it, I was warned like, hey, at some point after a few months, your phone is going to stop working because you're going to have to pay the blah, blah, blah tax on it. And I was like, okay. And I was warned that this tax would be something ridiculous. And it was. I remember, I mean, at this time I had had the phone for maybe a year or so. It was still, one of the newer models of iPhones. After a few months, sure enough, my phone stopped working. Well, my phone was working, but like the data, the calling, it was not working because I needed to pay the fee, which, by the way, it's not an easy process. Without my organization having people that have been with the company and dealing with the foreigners for such a long time, without their help, there is no way to figure out like how much is the fee? Where do I go to pay it? Like, it's just nonsensical, if I'm being honest. If I'm being honest from my point of view. Remember, this is a video about my observations and my point of view. Yeah, I remember the tax on my phone was maybe $300 or $400. Not a phone that I bought here, but just because I put the Pakistani SIM in my phone, I ended up having to pay tax on a phone that I owned before. And for people that drive and import cars here, it's the same as my vitamins or skincare products. They pay 100% import duty fee on those products, on those cars. So to me, that's a sign of like definitely the really affluent people or whatever, because yeah, if they're driving a Lexus or a Cadillac, or a common one I see is like Audis. Every so often I'll see Mercedes or like Range Rovers or something. Whatever the cost, if that car was 50, 70,000 US dollars, they had to pay another 70,000 US dollars on taxes, import fees for that car here. Absolutely crazy. Number 6, or for my ASL friendly friends, number 6. So, language. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I have not been learning Urdu, or actually I started off trying to get some language exchange partners, waste of time, and trying to, I guess, meet some local people to help with that. I even downloaded an app to teach me Urdu, and honestly, I stopped. I didn't see necessarily the value for me in continuing to learn the language. Prime example, most of the places I'm allowed to go to or that I do go to are more Western influence. And honestly, most of the restaurants or businesses will always have at least one person, and definitely the owner will speak English. And so I just personally didn't see where I was struggling with no one speaking English, that I needed to continue learning the language. Also, I realized what I was learning was like very formal, on account of like I was using this app and it was like teaching me all of the languages and good mornings and everything. The guard that I have like right outside my house, I started to use it on him. So in the morning I would say, "Sababa here," which means good morning. And he would be like, "Huh?" He didn't know what that meant. And I practiced how to say good morning in Urdu. And I asked some of my colleagues and they're like, "Yes, that's like the very formal way, but no one actually says that." So naturally, of course, I didn't know what it meant, because my guard does not speak English. He knows good morning, he knows thank you, and he knows some numbers. That's about it. So the fact that I was trying to learn the language and it wasn't really doing me any good, I stopped. Now, I do love languages. I try to learn how to say please and thank you in all the languages possible. If you would like to teach me how to say hello or please or thank you in your native language, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'll give it a try. I'll give you a shout out. But yeah, I just didn't see where it was beneficial for me to keep learning Urdu. So that's that with the languages. All right, let's call this little tidbit 6.5. Making new friends, meeting local people. Most days, I love it. I love meeting new people, making local friends, but it can be challenging here. And I'll talk more about this in part 2. I plan on making and having a part 2 video of things that I've learned and observed about living here in Pakistan, but making new friends or local friends can be really challenging. Sometimes the language barrier, whether they speak English or understand English. I know some people speak English, but in conversation, it's like, you don't actually understand. Got it. Okay. Or it can literally just be about norms that are really odd to me. For example, I can't tell you how many times I've been approached and people are like, "Do you work for? Are you from?" And I'm just like, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing today?" Is that not words that you know? It can be immediate, like just want to know your business. For me, that's not the type of people that I want to befriend or associate with. So it can be a bit odd or difficult to make new friends. I think it's honestly just a part of the culture here in that way. And like I said, I'll elaborate more on that in part 2. Let's go to number 7, or in ASL Sign Language, number 7. Expat community. A part of being an expat and making new friends, of course, is meeting other expats. And I work, of course, in an international community, and therefore it kind of connects me to the international community within the city. There are some consulate events and events that normally are very foreigner focused. And you know, it's been really cool to be a part of the greater expat community in this city. Sometimes it's not about exclusivity, it's more so about just being able to relate to other people. Unfortunately, there's not really a community of like people of color or Black people. However, the rare times that I do see a person of color, I'm just so excited to see someone else out here. And I'm not talking about, what was that crazy lady that was in the news recently demanding money and land, and she wanted to marry the young boy? I don't know. I didn't get caught up in that. But either way, in the expat community, it's not just about, you know, oh, thank God I don't have to be around locals or something. That's ridiculous. If I didn't want to experience the local culture, I wouldn't live here. But sometimes it is just a breath of fresh air to share travel stories, expat stories with other people that are away from their homeland. In general, It's always rewarding to be an expat, but it's also a big sacrifice. Overall though, I choose to count my blessings, focus on the positivity, and well, live my life to the fullest. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today. Be sure to like and share this video if you know anyone who also might like this content, and leave me a comment. I'm pretty sure you have some questions and or can relate to some of the things that I've shared in this video. So be sure to drop it down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.